Why though? Hello beautiful booktubers, I'm Becky Bookworm and I'm here to do Book Haul Part 3. First up, Lifelike by J. Christoph. Eve lives on the scrap heap and she finds the ruins of an android boy called Ezekiel. From that moment on, her world comes crashing down as her and her band of friends go off on an adventure, and I think it's got something to do with Ezekiel. This is another book where I don't really want to know any more than that. I've been avoiding reviews and all that other stuff because I just want it to be. I love a good adventure sci-fi, and if it's anything like the Illuminae Files, I'm probably going to love this. A Secret History of Witches by Louisa Morgan. Look how pretty that is. Start off in Brittany at 1821 when grandmother Ursula gives her life to save a family, and they think the magic goes with it. The family fight to keep the old ways alive by practising what they remember, but with each generation the struggle carries on. World War II is looming and there is a very important need, and there is a very great need for magic to a resurgence of magic, I guess. So that sounds pretty interesting. It reminds me a little bit of The Discovery of Witches, which I still need to read the third one, which I will get around to. History of Bees by Maya Lund. This was recommended to me by one of the booksellers in Waterstones, so I just picked it up on his recommendation. I am currently reading this at the moment, so I'll try not to go into it too much. I know I have a tendency to do that if I am reading something. It's set in 3 different times. We have William, who's in England in 1851. He's a biologist and seed merchant who suffers from ill health and he's trying to build a new type of beehive. Next we have George in the USA in 2007. George is a beekeeper who is fighting against modern farming practices and he's really hoping that his son is going to step in and save the day. Then we follow Tao, who's in China in 2098. Tao puts pollen onto trees because the bees have long died out. We follow her and her family as something happens to her son. He becomes very ill and he's whisked away and under secrecy and she doesn't see him, so she's trying to find out what's happening. It all sounds very interesting. Like I said, I have started it and it seems to do a chapter on each person as it follows through, so I'm finding it pretty good at the minute, but I'll let you know in a wrap up. How to Grow by Holly Newton. I do have a garden. It's a very neglected garden and I don't want it to be neglected anymore. I don't want cats to use it as a litter tray. I want it to be nice and I want to be able to grow some vegetables and that sort of thing. So after a lot of browsing in Waterstones, I discovered this. How to Grow is a guide for gardeners who can't garden yet. It's really simple, informative. She goes with the hardiest, easiest to grow plants, fruit and veg, and just breaks it all down. And she's got a really lovely way of writing. She's got a really lovely way of writing. I am about halfway, you can see I'm about halfway through that. I got it quite cheap as well because it's got a bit where it's not been chopped off properly. But even the images are super pretty. So I'm looking forward to learning a lot and clearing my garden, and then next spring it is on. I'm growing my own stuff. Corpse Light, put it there. Corpse Light by Angela Slatter. This is the second in the Verity Fassbender series. The first is Virgil, which I have somewhere. It's not Virgil at all. The first is Vigil. That's the first one. It's a bit annoying though because look at what they've done to these books. The first one's this big and the second one's this big. Why? Why though? So Verity Fassbender, you find out in the first book that she's a sort of, from what I remember, she doesn't have any powers, but she can walk between the world of the weird, spelt with a Y, and the world of humans. Everything, loads of stuff happens in that book. And the second book, she continues her work for the Weird Council. They put her on easy to cope with things because she's heavily pregnant. Unfortunately, one of the insurance queries that she goes to look into isn't as easy as she hopes it will be, and it turns out that people are drowning when there's no water around, so she investigates that. I'm really excited to be going back into this world because when I read Vigil last year I did really enjoy it, but I wish they'd just have made the books the same size. Finally is a little, probably can't show that's got boobies on it, but finally is the Victor Wind Museum of Curiosities guidebook. I visited there because I went to London to see my friend at the weekend and it is a little pocket book. I can't really show you the front because it's got boobies on it, but I'll show you inside. It has all the things that they have. So when you go down into this little curiosities museum, there's lots of weird and wonderful things. There's just so much stuff to take in, so I bought a little book so that I could read about it and find out what all those little curiosities were. So that is the end of my book haul part 3. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and please subscribe, and I'll be back soon with another video. Big hugs. Bye!